Wildcats Radio 1290.
McLaughlin, the tight end, in motion left to right. Fafita takes the snap out of the shotgun. Back to throw. Here comes pressure. Rolling to his right. Going to throw on the run. And a catch made by McMillan out at the 46-yard line for a first down. Tetero McMillan, a clutch catch. Oh, how high was in the air was he? I don't know, but that was tremendous.
And what kind of an arm does Noah have? I mean, he was running under pressure, and he launched that pass on a rope.
Noah Fafita, Jaden DeLaura, maybe both today here in Tucson, Arizona. It is the Wildcats and the Oregon State Beavers. This is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. I'm David Kelly. I am joined by my alum dogs. We have got Glenn Howe, U of A football class of 1985. We have got Kelvin Ifan, the captain from 1998. Guys, we had a week off. Chance to recharge the batteries. As Kelvin said a few weeks ago, time to get into the classroom and get right. And now it's back time to play some football. And hopefully the Wildcats understand the assignment here today, because they've got the number 11 team in the country coming in the Oregon State Beavers, the fourth ranked opponent in a row. The gauntlet, gentlemen, continues for this team.
Yeah, it's good to have another extra week to do some studying, because you're going to need some studying today. Because I tell you what, Oregon State, 195 yards average on the ground. So what do you think they're going to do? It's going to be a meat grinder today, and it's going to be the two guys, the four guys up front against them five. It's going to be that all day long on both sides of the ball. It's going to be a meat grinder today.
Yeah, we're refreshed, so think about how refreshed the guys are after having that week off and getting a chance again to hit the books and, to kind of get your body back as healthy as you can on this stretch run, getting down to the end, trying to get enough games to get to a bowl game. But anything, these guys are excited, ready to go, and just excited to have a chance to play another ranked team. That's what it's about. Coming out of break, getting a chance to play a ranked team, you got to be up for that.
All right, let's take our first look at today's game.
It's time to take our first look at today's game. Brought to you by the Window Depot. Lowest prices and biggest inventory. Shop thewindowdepot.com.
All right, guys, the big thing that's still on everybody's mind is who is going to play quarterback for this team. You heard Noah Fafita in the highlight there at the top. That was one of the fabulous plays he made in the Washington State game. It was a 3rd and 8 early in the third quarter, and he just he had a guy that kind of came at him and jumped at him, and he slid away from him to the pocket and threw a beautiful ball that Tetero McMillan just went up and got to convert on a 3rd down. Right now, he is making we saw that the first game against Washington. He came out. They kind of had the handcuffs on him a bit in that first quarter, and he got behind in the fourth quarter and made one really just not real smart play with the football. But since then, he's been pretty much making smart plays with the football 90% of the time.
Yeah, I think he's been playing great. I think he's been playing smart, which is really important for him as a young quarterback. And then it seems like he's really taking the coaching of what he's been taught, what he's been given, the information during the week, what to do and what not to do. I think he's really taken that in, and it's showing out on the field.
And I got to give some credit to the offensive coordinator. I always talk about how the offensive coordinator is tied to the quarterback. So right now, the offensive coordinator is doing a great job mixing it up. He's using that running game. He's using the threat of the short passing game. He's really moving the change and getting his quarterback in positions in 3rd and short to where he can make those little smart passes and those quick reads off the blitzes and the different things that people are doing. So you got to give some credit to that offensive coordinator too. Head coach, I think he is as well. Coach Fish there.
Yeah, the offensive coordinator's name is Jed Fish.
And what he did, he kept him off balance. So that made that, like I said last week, I said that was the best called game of his career at Arizona. He kept him off balance.
Let me speak on that real quick. And you know why? Because when you have a young guy, you want to protect him. You bring in JDL in, freshman of the year, Washington State. You letting him let it loose. You were really going for it, trying to establish the program. So, but now that he's able to show that he can win, basically outsmarting people with his game plan, I guarantee you Delora would be more to listening to, working with that game plan as well.
All right, Jetfish has a decision to make. When is he going to make that decision about who will start at quarterback? He talked about that on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that till game time right now. I think they're both ready to play, though. I think they're both ready to play, and we'll have to see, how it's all going to end up. But right now, they're both going to be dressed, both going to be participating in warm-ups, and both prepared regardless of who goes in.
Oregon State brings in a second quarterback for a specific series. Do you anticipate, could you see yourself using a second as a package?
Yeah, we've thought about that, and we've talked about that. We've thought about that, and we've talked about that.
We've thought about using two quarterbacks. We've talked about using two quarterbacks. How about that?
What a great position to be in, though. What a great position to be in that you got two, 1A and 1B quarterbacks that you can either way you go, you're doing all right. So that's a great position of being in and then also telling the opponent you don't know who to prepare for.
Yeah. No, and one thing that I'll say about it is this: at this point, we all know it's Noah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's won the last game. He won it big versus a ranked team, so we know it's Noah. But I would like to see JDL in the second quarter. I would like to see him for a series in the second quarter. And people are like, why? Would you want to break the rhythm? Well, I don't think you break the rhythm of a guy like Fafita. He showed you he can come into the game, step up in the Stanford game, take over the game, and finish the game. So I think it's not nothing that would bother him. Plus, you got to keep JDL engaged because you never know. What was the injury? Ankle that JDL.
Right, yeah.
You're an ankle away from needing him again.
Yeah.
So getting him in there for that play, more than likely, he probably throw a touchdown if I know him correctly, and that would give him the confidence needed to keep him going.
All right, so you were in this situation where there were two quarterbacks playing. What is the dynamic like on offense in this situation?
Honestly, when you have a couple guys that are basically like these guys, brothers. I mean, JDL is considered a big brother in the culture. The culture of the Samoan people, the island people, is you respect your elders. I've been around them for as long as I've been around the Arizona program, and that's how it was. I mean, every guy I can think of, no matter how tough or big he was very respectful, to the higher ups or captains or whoever, seniors or whatnot. So I just think that with that being said, I think these guys are just going to work together and do what's best for the team. Of course, JDL is a competitor. Keith Smith, OJ, both of those guys was competitors. But at the end of the day, when you really think about football teams, your team should be good enough to where you have two guys fighting it out through spring ball, summer, and basically every game with that pressure for that position. So to me, it's business as usual.
All right, let's hear from Brennan Carroll, the guy that actually carries the moniker offensive coordinator, and he's still very involved in the game planning on the offensive side of the ball, though it is obviously Jed Fish that calls the plays on game days. Brennan Carroll on the evolution of Noah Fafita.
He is who he thought he was. He's a stud. He knows how to play this sport. He knows how to play the game. He's just a really talented player that puts the work in. So, there's nothing surprising really about how he's performed. And he'll just keep developing and keep getting better and keep getting a better feel for, the way we do things on offense and the way that we're balanced with our defense. I think it's really going to play to his strengths, and he'll hopefully just continue to keep getting better.
Brennan, just in terms of Noah, where is he? Maybe give us a couple examples if you can of where he stands out in the classroom when you guys are in that setting and where he just kind of jumps off the page with his knowledge.
Yeah, nothing ever seems new for him. Nothing's ever a surprise. He can always equate one instance to another or one concept to another. I'm going to read this like we read that. Okay, good, I got it. And just his ability to just quickly retain information and regurgitate it on command. I stole that line. But he's really Mike James, University of Miami. Appreciate you. He's really able to kind of handle, the depth of this offense, what it requires, and it shows constantly.
In terms of Tanner McLaughlin, just where would you put what he's done in the blocking game in the lexicon of what that's meant to your run game?
Yeah, he's really been able to kind of balance us out, and he is a great receiver in the second when he gets in the secondary, and even when we're getting the ball in the flat, he's done a great job of protecting the ball and getting upfield and gaining more yards than just where he's catching it. And us being able to use him in the run game, as you see him on those sift blocks, as he's working back and creating space and creating lanes for our guys. All the runners obviously appreciate it.
All the runners appreciate what Tanner McLaughlin has done in the run game. But I want to jump back here to what he said, what you said, Kelvin, about the Polynesian people, and it's not surprising that obviously there's been a lot of noise around this program the last 3 weeks about the quarterback. It's not surprising that it's been the families who have come out and said, look, these two young men are brothers. Yeah. And that's how we look at it.
Yeah. And that's a great thing to have, is that having that connection in your culture, that we are supporting each other, and that's what it is, and you have to have that. And if you don't, I don't know about what it'd be with us. we be scrapping, man. So, but that's a good culture to have. You know what I'm saying, Dave? So it's like, it's great to have that, and that's going to be the strength of our program.
That's why. But to me, that's why I say, and that's why I think you give the ball to Jaden DeLaura. Let him see if he's back, if he's ready, if he can take advantage of this improved run game, if he can take advantage of this defense that's playing well, and then if he falters, then you go to then you say, okay, well, we gave Jaden his chance to come back and play. He didn't play well. Maybe we had to lose a game for him not to play well. Now we have the opportunity, if we want to make the decision to move forward in another direction, we can do that. That's my thought on it.
And I actually I agree. I agree.
Kelvin's like,
let me just tell you this.
Glenn's like, no.
Well, before I didn't, because before he won a game. Before he won 44-6.
Yeah.
No, I was like, no, he hasn't done anything yet. He came in and filled in, and Fish has called a great game for him. Yeah, the running backs are playing well. Now that he got that W, that kind of changed things a little bit for me, because to me as a former, and I'm talking about, I had to take off my hat of working here as an analyst. I had to go back into my playing mind frame, right? And a guy played well in front of me. I'm telling you, DK, when he played well in front of me, yes, I want the job back, but I understand why they're going with the other guy. He just went for 150, 20 carries. So, of course, I'm right there, biting at the chumps and can't wait to get a chance to get in there to make a play. You don't want anything to happen to your brother, but you hope he get tired. So you can get your chance to go in there and show your value again, because you understand in this sport right here, it's a production thing. You understand that if somebody plays well, it's a chance they're going to start stealing reps from you. It's a chance they can take your position. So that competitive, that competition, I think, is what makes the championship teams, DK.
Yeah, and any player, former player or current player, yes, you're excited about it, but you're disappointed too, man.
No, I ain't saying you like it.
I know.
I ain't saying you like it, but what
nobody
can you
likes
do? But on the real, what can you do?
Yeah, you
on the team.
You're on the team,
if any of us, you playing on the team, you understand. If somebody, if you could be the starter, DK, and watch this, I'm gonna bring up Jonah Coleman. The reason why Jonah Coleman just now getting this opportunity, he came in the games, he would do good, but Wiley would hurry up and get back in there and do something well. Right? So he kept himself up. I guarantee you Jonah starts over Michael. Now, the one chance that Michael has is Michael knows the whole playbook. He understands everything Fish wants, so that might be a little bit of a difference. But with Jonah playing the way that he's playing, what they say, number one in the nation as far as production is concerned.
Top-graded running back by Pro Football Focus.
That right there. So with that being said, I guarantee you Michael understands, like, man, I'm losing some
Yeah,
carries.
yeah.
And I might lose some more to DJ Williams as well and Speedy Luke. So it's just kind of how it goes when Burnett come in and plays well at tight end and catches a couple big plays. T-Mac is going to have to worry a little bit. It's just how it goes, man.
Yep.
All right, that's our first look at Arizona, Oregon State.
That's our first look at the game. Brought to you by the Window Depot. Lowest prices and biggest inventory. Shop thewindowdepot.com. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. Let's take a look at the Right Way Rundown and see what's coming up on our pregame show. Brought to you by Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Doing things the right way.
All right, next up we've got our offensive scouting report, as well as we'll hear from Oregon State defensive back Ketan Oladapo. In the huddle today is who, Glenn Howe?
We got Glenn Parker,
Ooh.
NFL offensive lineman. Usually I send some questions to the guy, to let him know.
Right.
Me and Glenn, we just talk, man. Just talk. And sometimes Glenn probably says, man, you talking too much, man. Because we get into it. We talk about just football. A guy that, I call him the professor, man. He really understands the game really well.
Five-time Super Bowl
Five-time
player.
Super Bowl player. Not winner. He hasn't won, though. He didn't win one.
No.
So it's
That's
great
okay.
to have him on.
Yeah. All right. Also, we've got up in our defensive scouting report, we'll hear from Oregon State wide receiver Anthony Gold. And in the captain's corner today is who?
Chester Burnett, former All Pac-10 linebacker, part of the Desert Swarm, Cleveland Brown, drafted by and played for the Cleveland Browns, and I think he got a son on the team as well.
Yeah,
He's
a Wildcat dad bringing into the
so,
captain's corner
great guy.
as well today.
And
All
we
right.
got Hubie, too, coming on later
Yeah,
on.
we got Hubie Oliver is going to join us. U of A running back 1980 and a captain on that 1980 team.
Hall of Famer.
The seventh all-time leading rusher here at the University of Arizona. Always good to go back to the 70s and talk to some of those great Wildcats. It is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. We are down on the beautiful U of A Mall. It is the first cooler fall day out here. We're not sweating our buns off today. So get on down here and enjoy things leading you up to kickoff coming up at 7:30. With Glenn Howe, Kelvin Ifan, I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
This hour of the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show is brought to you in part by Advanced Auto Care, Crest Insurance Group, Desert Diamond Casinos, First Chiropractic, Frog and Firkin, Kaiser Garage Doors and Gates, Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating and Plumbing, the Pulse the Results team with Keller Williams, Southern Arizona, Royal GMC Buick and Cadillac, Royal Kia, Royal Jaguar Land Rover, and the Window Depot. home of the Arizona Wildcats. Wildcats Radio 1290.
And welcome back out here to the U of A Mall. I'm David Kelly along with Glenn Howe, Kelvin Efon, getting you set for Arizona and Oregon State. The Wildcats and the Beavers. This is meeting number 52 in this series. Arizona leads it 24-16-1. This is an interesting series, guys, from the standpoint that the Wildcats won 19 of the first 21 in this series. The Beavers have now won 14 of the last 19, and it kind of started right after Kelvin's class left town that the Beavers began to get good and turn this series around.
Yeah, when we played them in the 80s, we were always like, how many points are we going to score that game, man? Because we used to run it up a little bit. We kind of handled it. We never lost to them, Oregon State.
Yeah, and I always couldn't understand why they wasn't better. I thought, Pac-12 school, Pac-10 at that time when we were coming up, I was like, regardless, you should be able to get good players. So when Dennis Erickson got there, and you brought the Chad Ochocinco's of the world, and those guys started going to the NFL, they changed those offenses a little bit there. And ever since then, man, guys been going there, and they get a lot of good talent. Steven Jackson, the running back, I believe, was there. So they've had some talented
brothers.
They've had. Yeah, Jacques Rogers. They've had a history of good running backs.
Yeah, and I think, and what one of the things that they do, and the running back they have now, Martinez, and one thing they do, they go to Texas.
Yeah,
and they go get them some boys out of Texas that don't care where they at.
Jackson from California, man.
Hey, but that Damian Martinez, that running back they got right now, that's a boy out of Louisville, Texas, right around my area in Dallas. So it's not surprising, man. You go get a few of those guys, things turn around.
All right, let's focus some more on the Arizona Wildcats offense.
Here is the Wildcats offensive scouting report for today's game.
He's into the end zone. Touchdown, Arizona.
The offensive scouting report is brought to you by O'Reilly Chevrolet.
O'Reilly Chevrolet.
Get more with O'Reilly Chevrolet.
Handoff will go to Coleman. Left-hand side. Coleman to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Arizona. Jonah Coleman with his third touchdown of the night.
Arizona is just destroying Washington State. And that was no one touched Jonah. He just went through a big crease and basically went untouched into the end zone. Arizona is destroying Washington State. What a performance by the Arizona offense, Arizona defense. Just a total domination by Arizona.
Well, and really those last two touchdowns in that game against Oregon State, I mean, just beautifully opened holes and running backs not even getting touched on their way to the end zone. That's when you know that you're really putting your foot on an opponent, when the runs like that just come easy at the end.
Yeah, it was almost like they didn't expect us to run. They expected us to beat them with the pass, and Fish did the right thing, man. He went right to that run, and the running backs just showed up. They've been showing up all year, but it just seemed like they had a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder, and they really brought it home. They're really playing well in that red zone, and I've been saying it for years, man. Get that ball to them running backs in that red zone so we can make something happen. You have to be physical down around that area. You have to, because there's not enough room to do a lot of routes in that area. So it's great to see guys like Jonah Coleman, Michael Wiley, and DJ them do so great.
Well, you talk about running in the red zone, and that's what Jed Fish said is the most important thing to success inside the 20. Now, Jed Fish.
You got to run the ball. You got to be able to run the ball in the red zone and not turn it over. That's really, last year we had, I think, 7 turnovers in the red area, whether that be turnover on downs or whether that be an interception or a fumble. The 2 times that we got stopped this year, one was when Jaden scrambled and fumbled the ball in the 8, and one was the interception. So they're very smart with the football down there, and if you put yourself in position by running the ball, you give yourself the best chance to be able to score down there, get close enough to field goal range, and then get it in the end zone. It's going to be a heavyweight fight. It's going to be a heavyweight fight. There's no question about it. These guys are physical. Everybody's healthy. I know their center's back, and the running backs are really good, and our defensive line is healthy and ready to go. Our offensive line, for the most part, I don't think Polito will be ready to play, but he did practice a little bit yesterday. He will practice today, and he will probably be available to us in an emergency situation. So you take that out of the equation, everybody's good. I think it's going to be a big time brawl inside, and our guys are excited about that challenge, and I know that that's the type of game they like to play.
Well, that is the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, Jed Fish, right there. And you talked about, again, Raymond Polito, we haven't seen him a lot this year, and that's a guy that Jed Fish also said this week that they're looking at redshirting this season.
Yeah, and, it's better for him if you don't want to waste burn any time. Let's get him healthy and get him ready to play. As he said, Jed was saying, this is going to be a physical game. And on the offensive side of the ball, we got to win first and second down. It's going to be important for us to be winning first and second down, 2 to 3 yards on each of those downs to make sure we get to third and short, because this is going to be a possession game. This is going to be a game. Oregon State, what they try to do is just really make sure that you have pressure every time you get the ball. So if they're going to take like a 7-8 minute drive and drive it down the field, and then you got to have that next possession, that's pressure on you because the clock is burning. Right. You have to score. So they're going to try, and I've been saying this all about shortening the game. Well, we got to be able to make sure that we're good on first and second down so we can make those first downs and move the sticks.
And the biggest thing with that is staying committed to it.
Yes.
Right? It's
Absolutely.
easy if
don't
they stop
panic.
you a few times and you don't break off the big Jonah Coleman runs and all the great things happen in the run game, and you don't get the big yards per play there. You have to still stick with it, though, because you have to make them still afraid and make them still game plan against that, so it continues to open up that passing game for you. Because, again, I think that running game is what's opening up the passing game and having few DBs in the passing.
That's what it is. You know that. The run opens up the pass.
Makes things a little easier back there.
All right, we are live from the U of A Mall. We are at the eastern part of the U of A Mall, kind of at the split near Campbell. Come on over and say hello to us. We're going to be giving away tickets to the game tonight. So if you don't have tickets for Oregon State and Arizona, come on down, find us. We're a big red tent down here. Wildcats, well, there's a lot of big red tents, but look for the one that says Wildcats Radio 1290. We got a young lady that's actually asking us for directions, like we're the street patrol as well. So there's that too. So come on down. We've got tickets. We'll be giving those away right around 5 o'clock today. So you got about an hour and a half to get down here, but bring your thinking cap because it's never easy. We're going to put you on the air. We're going to make you answer a question. You got to know your U of A football in order to get tickets from us for tonight's game. And it is the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show. We are brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the best place to eat, drink, and play while watching tonight's game between the Wildcats and the Oregon State Beavers. All right, guys, I had a chance to catch up with Oregon State defensive back Katan Oladipo. And this is a young man that has been in college for quite a long time. But he's still pursuing his dream of playing football. Let's hear from Katan. Spending a few minutes with Oregon State defensive back Katan Oladipo, back for a 6th year of college football. Katan, you must really love football.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What do you love about this game that you decided you wanted to have one more go around at Corvallis?
Just being out there with the boys is, experience like no other. Going out there, hitting guys, making plays on the ball, and just being a force to be reckoned with is very fun.
So you've seen a lot. Obviously, you started before the pandemic. You played through the pandemic, and now you're on the other side of it. How has this program changed over the previous 5 years that you've been in it?
It's changed tremendously from just the culture, the leaders, accountability, just being player ran and really just striving for excellence, being great every week. I think the standard's been set, at first is get to a bowl game and it's win a bowl game. So now after winning a bowl game, it's trying to win the Pac-12 championship. So I think the standard's been set and we'll continue to improve every year.
Now, you said that this is a program that is player-ran. What do you mean by that statement? How are the players kind of in that take-charge mold within what John Smith wants to do?
For a program or any organization, to really run well, has to be player-ran. It has the employees or whoever the workers are have to want it more than the coaches. So I think it's really being passionate about your work and really taking pride in what you're doing. I feel like at least just like motivating the team. It can't be the coaches, having the most energy or bringing the most chip on the shoulder. So I think that it's really guys buying in and showing young guys how to do things.
When you say that and you guys have a program like that, does it shock you when you hear about what happened at Northwestern?
Yes, because I feel like that would not fly in our locker room at all. Especially older guys doing it to younger guys. Definitely, guys would stick up for themselves and stick up for the younger guys. That's not how we're doing things around here.
We are joined by Catano Ladapo, defensive back for the Oregon State Beavers. Do you have any nicknames, being the oldest guy in the room?
No, I don't have any nicknames. They usually maybe grandpa sometimes, maybe senior citizen by the freshmen, because they'll ask me, "Oh, when did you graduate?" "Oh, 2018." I'm like, "Bro, don't do that."
So you actually graduated in 2018. So are you still in grad school, or
No,
are you
I
still
just
studying?
graduated this past.
Oh, you mean graduate from high school in 2018?
I graduated high school in 2018. Yes.
So you graduated college this past year.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was that track in terms of what you studied?
But I graduated with a degree in design and innovation management, which is in business.
Oh wow.
So yeah, pretty broad major, but I'll figure out what I want to do with it later.
Any ideas in terms of that?
Maybe like project management or like a designer at a business, maybe design some clothes or something like that.
What's been important about what Jonathan Smith has done at Oregon State to put you guys back on the map to being a 10-win team?
I think it's really just trusting the players, putting your players in the best position, to be successful. Analyzing your talents and your skill sets and calling plays and making opportunities for them to really showcase, what they can do. Him and, Coach Bray going to Oregon State, I think they take pride, in going here and coming back, and other coaches, they've been in our shoes, so I think they accommodate, for players, we call them players coaches, because they're all in about the players.
Exciting new quarterback in DJ Ugalele. What's been impressive about him?
I love his leadership. He has a big arm and he can run the ball, so I think he has a great attitude and could lead us to the Pac-12 championship.
All right, that is Catano Ladapo, defensive back for the feedback for the Oregon State Beavers, and that is our offensive scouting report for today.
That's the Wildcats Offensive Scouting Report. The Offensive Scouting Report is brought to you by O'Reilly Chevrolet. O'Reilly Chevrolet, get more with O'Reilly Chevrolet.
All right, when we come back, we are going inside the huddle to talk to Glenn Parker, 5-time Super Bowl participant, all with the Buffalo Bills, outstanding NFL career with both the Bills and Kansas City Chiefs.
One with the Giants.
I think it was just the Bills and the Chiefs. Was he with the Giants too?
Yeah.
One year with the Giants as
That's
well?
so
he was four with the Bills, 4 Super Bowls with the Bills, and 1 Super Bowl with the Giants. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get that right there. All right, this is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. We are live at the U of A Mall. In fact, I think I see Glenn Parker sitting right over there.
Yeah,
He's right.
yeah.
He's got a colorful shirt on. So we're going to put him in the chair here and let him talk to you. And you're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
Bear down, Wildcats fans. This is the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show on Wildcats Radio 1290. Brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived. This is the home of the Arizona Wildcats. Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hi, this is Tim Couch, retired NFL quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, partner at Meridian Wealth Management, and proud member of Meridian's Tucson Advisory Business Council. It's my favorite time of year, college football season. I've always been a proud Wildcat. As our firm has grown in Tucson with Ruben and Natalie Fernandez, I now cheer on 2 Wildcats every year. My alma mater of Kentucky, of course, and our U of A Cats. Here's to a great football season, and go Cats.
Advisory services provided by Meridian Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor.
So we bid farewell to Goldie the goldfish as
he journeys to that big pond in the sky. Amen.
He's still there, Dad.
What?
Goldie's still there. She didn't flip.
Because Dad didn't use Picture Rock's cooling, heating, and plumbing, this little pet funeral is going to take a long time.
All right. We therefore commend our Goldie once again to the appropriate place.
Still there, Dad.
Picture Rock's cooling, heating, and plumbing, making sure all your plumbing is working the way it's supposed to.
And so, Goldie, we bid thee farewell.
Still there.
The Window Depot is proud to sponsor the first look at today's game and would like to invite Arizona Wildcat fans to visit one of their Tucson warehouses. The Window Depot provides over 1,000 in-stock vinyl windows, interior and exterior doors, plus granite and quartz countertops, and a huge selection of custom cabinetry, all at the lowest prices in town. Consider the Window Depot your MVP when it comes to your home improvement needs. Stores are open Monday through Saturday, or order online at thewindowdepot.com. The Window Depot, more than a window store.
Experiencing the natural wonders comes easy at Rockin' K. Nestled at the base of the Rincon Mountain foothills. Enjoy stunning mountain views up close every day. And coming soon is Del Webb at Rockin' K, a 55-plus active adult community offering a rec center, world-class amenities that promote health and wellness, and new homes with refined interiors and stunning outdoor spaces. Live RockinK.com. Designed by Nature, proud U of A radio broadcast sponsor.
Does it feel like the price of everything is going up, up, up? We can't control the price of gas or groceries, but at Royal Kia, we never add market adjustments, even while other dealers add fees because inventory is limited. At Royal Kia, you can rest assured you won't pay market adjustments, and we stand by our transparent online pricing. Royal Kia, the dealership that's different. OAC plus tax, title, license, dealer installed options, and $529 dock fee. Royal Kia, Speedway in Columbus or RoyalKia.com.
At Right Way, our team wouldn't last 5 minutes against the Wildcats, but we definitely do know how to score a touchdown when it comes to great service and your home comfort. Whether it's heating and cooling, water heaters, or a blocked drain, give us a call today and let us win the game for you, or visit rightwayac.com. Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing is proud to be an official sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. If it's worth doing, do it the right way.
True Wildcat fans know that when you're looking for the best place to watch all the big games on big screens, drinking cold beer and having the best food, all paths lead to Desert Diamond. Bet on your Wildcats and all your favorite teams 24/7 on our easy-to-use kiosks. Come chill on our comfy couches and build your best bet at Arizona's best bet, the Desert Diamond Sportsbook and Bar.
An enterprise of the Thana Autumn Nation.
Problem gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Desert Diamond Casino is licensed in Arizona.
Do you often worry?
30 seconds.
Garage door opener powered by MyQ, you'll never worry again. You can control, secure, and monitor your garage from your smartphone anytime from anywhere through the MyQ app. As an authorized LiftMaster dealer, we have smart openers designed for your needs, including belt drive motors for ultra-quiet operation, integrated camera for live video streaming, and battery backup that lets you in when the power is out.
Kaiser Garage Doors and Gates is your authorized local LiftMaster dealer. Visit KaiserDoor.com for more information.
Bear down, Wildcats fans. This is the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show on Wildcats Radio 1290. Brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived. This is the home of the Arizona Wildcats. Wildcats Radio 1290. Let's go in the huddle with Arizona letterman Glenn Howell. In the Huddle with Howell is brought to you by Kaiser Garage Door and Gates. Kaiser celebrating 25 years serving Arizona.
Welcome into this week's edition of In the Huddle with Hal, presented by Kaiser Garage Door and Gates. I'm Glenn Howell, University of Arizona tight end, class of 1985. Our guest today is a pleasure to have, a good friend, a great guy, Glenn Parker, an offensive lineman from the University of Arizona Wildcats, class of 1989, a third-round pick for the Buffalo Bills, played with the Kansas City Chiefs and the New York Giants, and played in 5 Super Bowls.
Well, first off, thank you very much for the intro. We are good friends. Now, you said great guy. Let's stop it right there. Talk to my wife before you get through that one. But, I'm a Wildcat through and through, man. Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming by, Glenn. I know you're a busy guy. You just celebrated a anniversary with the University of Arizona Foundation.
I did. 7 years ago, I said, okay, I'm going to keep doing the broadcast, but I want to get more involved here. And I've been blessed to have an incredible mentor and boss while I've been here, JP, as you know. And about 3-4 years ago, I gave it up full time. I gave everything full time just to do this. Just say I'm going to just be working for the foundation. I love it. I'm having a great
that's
time.
awesome. I'm sure that all the alumni love talking to you because you're also a wine guy.
I am.
So you know that. So that probably helps you out a lot. We're selecting wines at dinners and stuff, and they want to talk to you about your football career. I bet,
they want to talk football. They want to talk wine, and I'm a food guy.
Yeah.
I worked with chefs, and so. I'm one of those guys that is forever curious. I'm ADHD, so I'm forever curious, and once I get it kind of mastered, I move on to something else.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Kids are doing well?
Kids are great. Watched my son, unfortunately, their team had a horrible game today, and they lost. Colgate against Bucknell. But he had a great game, as always, which I'm happy to see, because I do judge him very objectively. He asks for notes at the end of every
That's
game
awesome.
and wants them. I'll give them to him on Tuesday and say, here's what I think you can work on and you can get better at. Unfortunately, just as a team, they just didn't play well, and they've been having a tough season. But that's the way it is, and all of my kids have played college sports, and it's always a blast. It's a blessing to get to watch your kids do anything, much less get all the way to college and play.
Yeah, absolutely. And Glenn, you played in the '90s. Okay, you played at the University of Arizona, and then you went into the National Football League. And tell me how you think the offensive linemen from then that are what they are today. What do you think the big changes have been?
Well, the biggest change is just simply the style of play, and because of the rise of spread offenses in high school and college, in order to get your weapons out on the edge and in a little bit of space, most of the linemen that are in college today they're space eaters, but they're not particularly good at disrupting and displacing people, picking them up and moving them. And I still get calls from coaches in the league saying, do you know any great offensive linemen? Because the NFL game, although it's been influenced by the spread, there's some things they're doing to help those kids. They still, because of the hash marks being close, because of the way the game is played, they have to have offensive linemen that can pick people up and move them. And
explain that hash mark thing. How that's different, how that changes the game between the pro and college.
That's a great question. And, most people look at them and think they're kind of the same game. But in reality, one, your hash marks are so much closer together in the NFL, you do not have a field and a boundary. So it's way more difficult for quarterbacks because the defense can disguise what they're doing a lot more efficiently if the field is always somewhat balanced. In college, the field is unbalanced. You can have you're way over here. There's only so many things you can do, so much space to throw in with those guys, and so you have a field and a boundary. In the field, you try to get a fast guy who can get into space, make somebody miss, and get you 15 yards. In the NFL, no one's going to miss.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a missed tackle. It's going to be a tackle, and you don't have that space. So it also then changes your run game because now your run game isn't simply about all that space out there and how do we get enough guys spread out across that giant field to allow holes. Well, in the pros, there's no holes because your hashes are that way, and there's no space because the guys can all cover that space so fast. So it just changes the game. And so what you're really seeing with offensive line play and some things, we're going to see it today with Oregon State. Oregon State, Jim Mahalchik, they displace people. They pick them up and move them.
And Glenn, you're really good friends with Jim.
I am.
His son played with your son.
Yeah, they were good friends
you guys,
growing up.
and you guys were always talking football and everything. So that's the background that we have with Coach Mahalchik with Oregon State.
Yeah, Coach Mahalchik was here as the offensive line coach for, 6 years or so, and we think the same. We're very much on that same plane of displacement and getting people off their mark. If you can get a guy off his mark, you can start moving people around and get the space you need. And it helps your quarterback because the more you can do that, your quarterback is not under pressure because D linemen are trying so hard not to get moved that they're too busy thinking of that instead of rushing the quarterback. You know, and once you can do those things, it changes your game for you. It's just a different game from the NFL to college, and it's a way different game from the 90s to now as far as what you could do then versus now.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of our fans are listening, and they, I hear this a lot from a lot of dads. What, that have offensive line, kids that are offensive linemen, what do they need to learn when they're young, when they're just starting football? Give me a couple key things that they need to know to start the progression of getting better as an offensive lineman?
First thing they need to know is the game. Most kids today, they play Madden, so they think they know the game. They don't watch football. When I was a kid, and you too, Glenn, we watched every game that was on. We only got a couple. You had 2 pro games a day. You had maybe
CBS and NBC.
Yeah, you had maybe 2 college games a day on Saturday. You didn't have any other games. And then you had Monday night with the Monday night highlights. And so you watched games, you ate it up. The highlights were the best part of the day because you got to watch slow motion with Howard Cosell. First off, there was a romanticism about the game that's gone because we had that. But second, we watched the game. We listened. We're like, okay, what's the situation? Where do we want to go with the ball? We started looking at things. And I remember my very first coach taught me where safeties were. I was an offensive lineman. And people say, well, why do offensive linemen need to know safeties? Well, if I know where the safeties are, I know where the linebackers have to be. I know where the overload is. I know where the defense has to come back to. It makes my job so easy. Too many kids today in football, and you know that I disagree with ever playing tackle football before high school. Kids should just go be athletes first and then play football. Football's the easiest sport in the world to play later in life. Right. They need to go out, become athletic, and then once they start playing, start teaching a class of football 101. What's the defense want to do? What does the offense want to do? Why do the defense call gaps? Why do we call numbers? What do they call the field? What do they call the boundary? What are the hash marks? What's tight versus loose? All those things that I tell you right now, I'll be at college, I'll talk to linemen, they have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They have never heard those concepts. I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
How are these kids learning
When
this
you
game?
were at the Sugar School, talking to the guys with the Sugar Schools, you were like, whoa.
Yeah.
We're talking to University of Arizona offensive lineman Glenn Parker, class of 1989, is our guest in the huddle with Hal, brought to you by Kaiser Garage Door and Gates. Kaiser, celebrating 25 years of serving Arizona. Glenn, we have a big game today, Oregon State.
Yeah.
We were just talking about how what Oregon State does is they kind of like grind you down, and then they make you have pressure when you have that possession because now it's like you may not get the ball back.
That's right.
So what do you think is some of the things that we need to look at to try to win this game today?
All right, so when you're playing a team like Oregon State who could go on 9-minute or 10-minute drives against you, right? There's two feelings on this. I remember Oregon when they used to run so fast under Chip Kelly and before that. They put pressure on your offensive coordinator to keep up. Mm-hmm. Well, now the way Oregon State does is they put pressure on your offensive coordinator not only keep up but to slow down.
Yeah.
And so it's the reason that Stanford under Harbaugh could dominate. It's the reason the coaches like that now, and what he's doing at Michigan is the same thing. We're going to grind. We're going to eat so much clock that when you get the ball, you're going to feel the pressure of like, I only have so much time, or I might not get the ball back till half, or I might not get the ball back till the 2 minutes to go. I've got to go. At the same time, you're thinking to yourself, our defense has been on the field forever.
Yeah.
I got to do something to help them out. So it almost makes you predictable to the defense. Now, they've got to run so many. They got to throw so many. And the best thing we can do as a team is, one, get the ball first and score. Two, if they get the ball first, we have to steal a possession in the first half. If we can steal a possession in the first half, that allows us to not only keep serve, but hopefully go up 1 or 2 possessions. And I look at possessions differently. It's because of my old school background, and I know this, but like, okay, let's say a team is up 13. Let's say Oregon State gets the ball coming out, right, and they steal a possession, and they're up by 2 scores at half. Well, in reality, they're only up 1 possession because we get the ball coming out at half. But if they're up, if we get the ball and they're up 2 scores and they get the ball, they're now up 3 possessions. It's not 2.
Yeah.
And most fans only look at the score and how many times do we have to score, but you always have to assume the other team is going to score when they have the ball. So you have to assume how many possessions is that?
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. So we really have to keep this game within either holding serve or us up a possession throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, and I always say in our keys to the game, I say we need to get 2 to 3 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
If we can get I think those are possessions.
They are. Yeah,
they
sure.
are. Those are crucial times where they can break the momentum of the offense.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we can it's a snowball effect.
A 4th down stop,
yes.
A blocked field goal that's a possession. We stole a possession.
Yeah.
You have stole. Yeah. Intercept. Turnovers are stolen possessions, but that 4th down stop, stolen possession.
Yes.
Right. And and then the real key to every game, especially if it's close, is where's the hidden yardage. It's in your penalties and your special teams. And if your special teams are winning, and Kelvin, you were a Dick Tomey guy, you know this. He preached it. I got to the NFL with Marv Levy. He was the very first special teams coach in the history of the sport. Understanding where those yards are hidden. If you're average starting the field on your 35 and they average on their 10, you're talking 25 yards over the course of 10 possessions. At 250 yards, I own.
Yeah.
That you didn't get. Add that to the total. Look at your penalties. Add that to the total, and all of a sudden it becomes a very different game. I love when people will say, "Oh, well, that team dominated that team. Why was it so close?" Did you look at the intent? They kept intercepting the ball and getting another 5. And I always go back to one Super Bowl, unfortunately, that I played in, was at the Coliseum, and we outgained Dallas. I want to say 2-1. It was ugly. We lost 52-6.
Yeah.
We gave up the ball like 6 times. They scored every time we gave up the ball, and there was always on our end of the field.
Wow.
So those numbers, don't tell the
skew.
truth.
Yeah, they don't. Oregon State, 195 yards they average on the ground a game. 195.
That's
ridiculous.
In today's college game, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And I looked at that number. I said, man, that is just like crazy. But tell us what Jim Mahalchek does as far as his blocking scheme.
Great thing about Jim is this. Jim is not concrete mind. He doesn't say we run zone, we run gap, we run man. No. He teaches his guys the spectrum, especially when he's allowed to. I've seen when he's not allowed to, but when he's allowed to, he's a full-service coach. He teaches it all, and he's the run game coordinator. So he looks at weaknesses. He's going to look at his numbers on his count. Now, for those who don't know, we don't count simply there's this many guys on one side of the center and that many on the other. Anybody on the center is considered a 0, so he's actually a half. He can count either way. So when you're running one direction or the other, you have to have your numbers. Jim's very good at understanding where he has numbers, how he's going to work it, who he's going to put in conflict on any given play when he attacks, and how to exploit that conflict. And you will see many times a guy is 1 yard away from being where he's supposed to be, and that's not chance. That's design. It was designed to get him to move off his mark 1 yard, and boom, through the gap.
And then through. We're talking to University of Arizona lineman Glenn Parker, class of 1989, is our guest in the huddle. AKA, I call him the professor, okay? It's brought to you by Kaiser Garage Doors and Gates. Kaiser celebrating 25 years of serving Arizona. Kelvin, you had a question.
I want to ask you how important it is to actually run the ball when you have a passing offense. Because I remember, and I was a fullback, glorified offensive lineman. You asked me a lot of the jobs that we have to do, none like what you guys do, but we have to insert, we have to kick out ends, we have to get linebackers, and I had fun doing that stuff, trust me. That's a chance to hit some of those guys back a little bit there. But with that being said, how important it is to get that run fit, to hit on people a little bit. What Oregon State actually does to wear people down a little bit so they don't have those legs in the passing game.
Well, right. You just said it, right? So the more I can do offensively to run the ball. And now you could be – a lot of people always think, oh, the West Coast offense is they're going to – like in the NFL, we're going to run and then pass. No. You can pass, but you have to run the ball to win. You can pass all day long. You can start the game passing, get all the way to the fourth corner, but if you can't run the ball to win, you're going to give the ball up every time at that point if it's a close game. And I will tell you, let's go back to the Super Bowl the Chiefs lost where they looked so bad and they blamed their offensive line. They were terrible. Look at Mahomes. They ran the ball 4 times or 6 times after half, averaged 6 yards a carry, but only 6 times. You only run the ball 6 times and wonder why you lost the game. Yeah. There was zero respect for your run game.
They knew what you were doing.
They pass rushed every single play to stop them. And
Put
they
the
did.
ears back and go.
Just go. So the run game opens the pass game, and just as the pass game opens the run game. Right. But at the end of the day, the run game moves that clock, and the pass game doesn't. The run game also lets your offensive line become animals. And I say this, like I tell my own, and I know this is not politically correct, and I really don't care. I tell my guys, listen, there is only 3 places you get to be a man and let your animal out anymore. It's prison, it's the military, and it's this football field.
Yeah.
You get to let your animal out and be a man. Let's go.
Yeah. And get famous for it, too.
Exactly. So here you go. Let's go. And you get to do things that if you did on the streets, they'd arrest you for it. And you let those big guys become big guys. The problem we have today, we see it in football in general, you're a big guy growing up. What do they tell you? Oh, don't get angry.
Yeah.
I know the guy punched you, but you're so much bigger. Don't hurt him.
Yeah.
We do this sissification with our boys and wonder why they're no longer capable of defending anybody. It's like, let your big boys become animals for a little bit here. Just let them have it. Get after it.
Sometimes you have to be a prick.
And that's what you know what? I'm going to show you a text I send to my son every Saturday. Just go be a prick.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
But that's what it does. It allows your big boys to be bullies. It allows them to get angry and mean. Any D lineman can be angry and mean when he gets to make 1 sack out of 82 plays and jump up and down and look at me, I'm famous. Let the big boys mash, and that's a great thing.
So what's your keys to the game for today?
Keys for the game, okay, we've got to steal. I pretty much said it earlier. We've got to steal possession in the first half, number 1. We can't get down more than a couple scores. We won't get the ball back. It's just that plain and simple. And really, I think disrupt their double teams on offense. Every time we have to be downhill, so a lot of movement on your D-line, spikes, get guys moving so the double teams don't have a chance to push that guy off the line into your linebackers.
Explain what spikes are.
So that's a slant, or you got a guy who starts on your outside shoulder and goes to your inside shoulder. That makes it hard on double teams because you all step a certain way, and all of a sudden he's not where he's already across the line into an area. So if we can disrupt who they are in the run game, we have a real chance. We're going to steal possessions. It's going to happen.
Yeah, my thing was when we played Washington State last week is that we played on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Yes, we did. The whole game.
We played the whole game. Both sides played on the other side of the line of scrimmage. That's what I think that, I'm giving my keys to the game a little early, but I think that's something that we really got to be able to do because of our D linemen, or they have to be able to have a great game today.
100%.
Absolutely. Kelvin, you got any more questions for Mr. Parker? Well, Glenn, you know what? We like to thank you for coming on, Wildcat alumni Glenn Parker from 1989. We always enjoy having you on, and thanks for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks, guys. Love being on anytime.
Right on. Thanks a lot. That's In the Huddle with Hal today on Wildcats.
That's In the Huddle with Howell. Brought to you by Kaiser Garage Door and Gates. Kaiser celebrating 25 years serving Arizona. This hour of the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show is brought to you in part by Advanced Auto Care, Crest Insurance Group, Desert Diamond Casinos, First Chiropractic,
All right, welcome back down here to the U of A Mall, hour number 2 of the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. I'm David Kelly, joined by my guys, Glenn Howe, U of A football class of 1985, Kelvin Efon, the captain from 1998. It is the Wildcats and the Oregon State Beavers coming up here tonight at the stadium. Look, we are going to have, if you don't have tickets to this game and you need tickets, we're going to have tickets here. We're giving them away in about an hour. So you need to come down, sign up. We got a big red table here, Wildcats Radio, 1290. It's a tent. We're at the east end of the mall, down here by the merger, the turn, and by Campbell. Come on down here.
By the
sign
tweezers.
Up. By the tweezers.
That's the tweezers, man. Right there. The tweezers.
By the tweezers, and you can sign up, and we'll have to. But you're gonna have to be smart because we don't just give away our tickets to anyway. You got to know a little bit something about your Arizona Wildcats. All right, let's jump into the defensive scouting report.
Let's look at the Wildcats defensive scouting report for today's game.
Back to throw. He gets hit. He fumbles the ball. The Cats with the ball. They pick it up. They'll take over at midfield.
This is Arizona football on Wildcat Radio 1290.
Takes the snap, rolling to the right, looking to throw on the run, fires downfield, and it's picked off. Arizona with the interception, and they'll take over. No picks through the first 6 games, and 2 today. Tacario Davis with the interception. Arizona football.
All right, that was Tacario Davis getting his first interception as an Arizona Wildcat. The Wildcats had 2 picks. We're going to be joined here in a minute by Alan Durden, also from the class of 1985. We're starting to get to that time of the year where all the alums are starting to come back.
Coming through,
man.
here
to
The
town.
weather change.
Exactly right.
Weather change. It ain't hot.
Should we classify them as snowcats?
Yeah,
then?
snowcats. Yeah.
They come back to town when the weather gets good. Is that how that works right there? But I want to hear from Johnny Nansen, whose defense was just off the charts at Wazoo. I asked him about he's obviously an alum, played at Washington State, met his wife at Washington State, now getting a chance to go back up there and get a big win. I asked him about that win and also that interception by Tacario Davis.
I never made it a big deal that I went to school there. We had a job to do, and it was nice to see them play well down there. And it's kind of motivating when you're sitting up in the press box before the game and they're telling us UCLA's elite and our defense is okay. I think that kind of motivate our kids and motivate our staff to coach better that day. And, sometimes, we used that against them. So it was good to see our guys compete and got after them pretty good.
Tacario's interception, just what did you like about the way he read that play there?
Well, our offense, we run that play at practice, and our offense run the same play, and we've been practicing. Obviously there's indicators when that play comes, and the kids, our coaches have done a great job preparing our guys, and when that play came, the flood, he was right there and, to step in and picked it off. It was good to see. Finally, we got one.
For Johnny, I don't think he began the season as a starter, and he seems pretty locked in now. Where is he grown?
Overall, I think, Coach Richardson has done a great job teaching the game to him, technique-wise, with Coach Aquina. You can see how every week he's getting better. And you could tell he's making plays, so it's very good to see. And, obviously he's going to be a challenge this week because they got to tackle those big backs. So, we're looking for him to have another big week for us.
All right, that was Coach Nansen talking about our defensive backs, and you're talking about interceptions. And look who came walking up. It was like Alan Durden, class of 1985, first-team All-American, Walter Camp All-American, first-team All-Pac-10 back then. And you're talking about a ball hawk. Alan, tell us how you doing, man.
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me, Glenn.
It's always good to see you, brother. It's always good to see you. And you're talking about a guy that used to get interception. And then we also got Eugene Hardy over here, who is better known as AKA the Riddler. Okay, he was a defensive back, so we're surrounded. Kelvin, we're surrounded by all these defensive
DB.
guys.
I play a little DB
yeah,
too, though.
yeah.
You know, I play a little corner.
So we got a
corner,
little.
So I feel him.
Alan was a captain, and he was a captain of our team, and then Eugene. I helped recruit Eugene coming into the University of Arizona. Eugene, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Alan, so you're now coming back. You're going to be an honorary captain. How does that make you feel?
Man, it makes me feel good. I tell you, I'm glad Coach is inviting all of us back to get us involved in the program. It just rejuvenates us. Makes us feel like we're part of the program again.
Yeah.
So I appreciate all these things that he does, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, have you been watching some of our games?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, have you seen those corners that we got, those big old boys, 6'4", 6'4" at the corner?
It's unbelievable.
Isn't that like, it's just like when
crazy.
Did you see him at practice? Did you go to practice at all?
No, I haven't gone to practice.
But when you get on the field and you watch them,
yeah,
it's going to blow your mind,
It's
man.
crazy.
Yeah.
And the facilities are crazy.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Eugene told me we were walking in there with Brandon Sanders, and he was showing us around a little bit more. And as soon as Eugene opened the door, he looked at me and said, "You're going to be mad."
Yeah, exactly. For what we had in the dungeon?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Back in the dungeon.
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
It's unbelievable, man.
Yep.
And, Eugene, what do you think of those corners, man? You see how big those guys are? They're 6'4". And
oh, you guys got to turn his mic up.
yeah, it's amazing how big they are, and how athletic, and they move, and then you know what, I think they're tough. They're tough. They're not. Everybody thinks that they're long and lean and skinny and everything, but they're tough. They're really tough.
And you know what, Glenn? This is a different game than we played. I mean, we had the big shoulder pads. It was all
Yeah.
about protection. Now they have the smaller pads, but are just as protectful. You know what I mean? So now they look good too.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
had the
absolutely.
big old smoky and all that other kind
We
of
were
stuff.
like wide because they showed your picture. They showed your picture for being the captain. I said, man, look at dude. He looked like he's big.
I was big.
Wait, how much did you weigh, man? When you were
$180?
$180, I know, with a couple two 5-pound weights in his pocket. That's what I said, man. I'm telling you, man. Because you look at back when we played, everything was real. I mean, our defense that we had, we were just really physical.
We were.
They were really. You guys were really physical. We had, I just remember when we played LSU. We were playing against LSU, man, and that crowd was crazy as heck.
Remember
And then who gets an interception for that? Was that 99 yards?
96.
96 yards. Returned it for a touchdown. And in that place, you could have dropped a pin and heard that place. It was just, and wasn't that a great game to play in?
It was a great game. We had to prove to ourselves and prove to the rest of the country that we could play with those type of people.
Yeah.
We weren't just
us northern boys.
Yeah. We weren't just a Pac-10 team. We were a team that can compete with anybody, and we did. And we should have won that game.
Yeah, we absolutely should have won that game.
Yes.
Lost that game 26-27.
That's correct.
That was and they were stacked, that team.
Yeah.
They had everybody.
Dalton
Whifford
Hilliard.
Hobley, Dalton
Craig
Hilliard.
James. Yeah.
They had Craig James. They had all those dudes back there.
Yep.
So they had a great team. And then tell me some of your greatest memories at University of Arizona, Alan.
I think one of my favorites is Cal. When we played up at Cal.
Yeah.
And it was an important game for us.
Yeah, 85.
To go to the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
And we were still competing to go into the Rose Bowl. And we were winning, but they were driving with a couple of minutes left. And we picked it off on the 10 or 12.
Yep.
And that was the second one of the game. And we secured the win.
Yeah, that was
one of my
absolutely great
favorites.
because that was a revenge game,
That was.
basically for us. Because in '83, you remember, we were 5-0 when we went up there.
Number
and
3 in the country.
And we were up 27-3
at halftime.
At halftime,
Yep.
and came back and they tied us.
That's
man.
right. David Lewis.
Yeah, Dave Lewis killed us. That's my boy, man. I used to work out with him all the time up at Cal. Back in the day, we used to be able to work out at other facilities.
Yep.
you know, and we used to work out, me and Gail Gilbert and all those guys, you know, Moen and all those dudes that we used to, because my brother went to Cal. So we used to work out there during the summer because we didn't stay here the whole summer.
Right.
You know, we went home.
Yeah.
And then they said, you better come back in shape. And you come back in shape, you know, and you're good.
And then go to Cochise.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Go to Cochise. That's right.
They don't even know about Cochise.
Cochise, I know.
First year, man.
But Cochise was a good building of character.
Yeah.
And a building of our team. You know,
Well, we had to. We didn't have
I
anybody
had no
else.
choice.
Oh, man.
Some guys were trying to run away. There's some guys that ran away from that place.
And one thing I was going to say, you guys got to be excited as defenders watching the defense having some of that pride back, because to me, you know, I was on, like I said, I played a little defense, but was more known for my offensive side of the ball. But I thought always, no matter, Arizona was known for the toughness on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
I've been disappointed in the linebackers. Now we got some good linebacker play, because I thought we was linebacker DBU.
Yeah.
You know, the way that our guys played over the years, as far as even professionals, most of our guys were defensive guys, right? So how do you guys feel now seeing that defense starting to turn around a little bit?
Well, I enjoy watching it because that's what we did. And back when we played, I don't like the tackling anymore, because we were taught don't break down.
Yeah.
Because
Run through 'em.
when they moved me from running back to safety behind Allen, I said, I don't know how to tackle. They said, don't worry, we'll teach you.
Yep.
This is all you got to do. See the ball, run to it, don't break down, and trust that your other teammates are coming.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, it was all about blowing someone up. But they're stepping up. You know, these last couple games, they've been playing tough against, top-notch competitors.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're talking to Alan Durden, class of 1985. He's going to be an honorary captain tonight. First-team All-American, first-team All-Pac-10, and Eugene Hardy, defensive back, class of 1986, right?
87.
Yeah, 87. You know, we're talking to these guys, you know, reminiscing a little bit. And, Alan, you know, everybody talks about the Helix connection. You started that. Were you the first Helix guy here?
I was. 1982, came out here. Coach Smith recruited me and fell in love. I had committed to Oregon State.
Wow.
Yeah. And I decommitted and came out to Arizona and loved it and decided to come here. And from there, Chuck Cecil came out. He was a Helix Highlander. Hammerschmidt.
Yep.
Highlander. And then Brandon Sanders finally Hammer. So we had 13 straight years of all Pac-10 safeties.
Yeah.
From one high school and one college.
Wow. That's a great right there. That's awesome. So how do you like coming back?
I love it, man. It's changed.
Isn't it? It's just
come on, man. I mean, look at it. I'm looking at everything around here. I'm like, man, where did this come from?
Yeah, I know.
Is this where my alumni money's going?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on,
exactly.
man. This is a beautiful campus. I mean, they got beautiful facilities. I mean,
how can you not want to go here?
Oh, it's just amazing, man. It's amazing.
That's the thing.
And I'll say this, and as a player and as you recruits, I think it makes it even more attractive when you see the old guys coming around, because that's going to be you one day.
Yep.
And I think
exactly.
it's
Tell
important.
those kids.
I think it's important for the guys to see guys around, because you can say, you know what, man, I want to be one of them, man.
Yeah.
You know, they meet you and you shake their hand, you talk to them, different little things. Because I remember during my time, the older guys that would come back, guys that was coming back to finish school, or guys that were just coming back to games, and you would just see yourself. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, that's probably going to be me one day.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing was I had Coach Tomey. I played basketball too for Coach Olson for 2 years before I went to the football team, and you had all those guys that would come back and work out basketball-wise, all the football guys that would come back, you know, driving in cars, and, you know, you find out the different jobs that they have, and I just think that's important to a program to have that, because if you're going to be asking guys, especially in the NIL time, if you're going to be asking guys to come to your school now, they got to know that there's some type of connection to the past, so they will feel like they won't be forgotten, you know, when you know, after their time is done.
And
that's a great point.
We had like T. Bell when he used to come back. He used to come back. We'd like, that's T. Bell, man. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, you'd see him, And, he was always here. And, there's all the dudes were here. I mean, they used to come back, and it was good for us to see
You
those
can look
guys.
at him and say, man, I'm bigger than him.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
I might, man, if he made it, man, maybe I can make it. You know what I'm saying? You see little stuff, you know what I mean? But if you don't never get to see him, you don't never get to see him, and they'll never get to come around, you don't get to get those comparisons. That's why it was so great to have Chris McAllister back finally. Haven't been here in years, and, Chris Mack got back, and seeing his smile on his face, another guy that I feel, it's just so many guys, man, as much chance as I get. That's why I love we have a chance to do these segments, because we get to get some of the guys back, man, and get to talk to them and get the fans to be able to know that guys are still out here.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's awesome, man. So how's your family doing? Everybody good?
Everybody's good. My mom passed away in May.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So that was tough.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, and like you were talking about, I got a call when my mom passed away. David Adams.
Sweet.
Hey, man, I haven't talked to you in a long time. He just said, I just called to make sure you were okay.
Yeah.
And it's friends like that, Eugene and those people. You don't have to call them, and you don't have to see them every day.
Yeah.
Something's wrong, something happens, they'll call you, they'll check up on you, and if you need them, they'll be there.
Yeah.
And that's what the family's all about.
Sir. Absolutely.
So, and that's how I feel out here. I feel it's a family.
And Eugene, you just got married?
Yes.
Got the ball and chain now again,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. I
That's
got
good.
30 years in, so I'm
I
good.
got 28.
Oh, that's right. That's good. That's good. So everything good with you?
Oh yeah, man, I can't complain. My granddaughter's just getting ready to walk. Thank God for FaceTime.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm seeing her walking around, stumbling, bumbling.
Yeah. That's
and
awesome.
trying to talk. It's good. All my kids are doing great. It's good.
That's
Real
awesome.
good.
That's awesome. Well, guys, we really appreciate you coming on, and we hope that you guys have a great time here. Alan, it's great to have you back. You got to come back for alumni when we have our spring ball. You should come back. Come back for that, and then that's where a lot of the guys come back. And it's it's exciting to have everybody back and just sitting there talking. You see dudes that you're like you see. I saw Niels Fox, man, and I'm like, looking at Niels. Niels is like about 210, man.
Oh, is that?
Yeah,
really?
dude. He was like, I was like, dude, man, you looking good. I mean, yeah. I was like, dude, he's looking like all leaned up and everything. I was like, dang. I mean, you see these guys, and it's great to see them, man.
It is good to see them, and I'm looking forward. We're going to be at the tailgate over at the practice field.
Okay.
In a little bit.
All right.
And,
all right.
I hope I get to see everybody. You guys going to go down there?
Yeah. We'll
Okay,
be over there, and then we're going to see you out there before the game on the sideline.
Well, you and Kelvin, man, you guys, thank you for this.
Yeah, well, thank you.
This a lot.
Thank you.
And you met David Kelly. David Kelly, that's Leroy Kelly's son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then he should know. Leroy knew my dad because my dad was the first African-American coach in the Pac-10 and with the Oilers, Rams, and Chargers. So
yeah, that's good. That's a good little connection.
Yeah.
That's a great connection.
Yeah, one of the few.
All right. Well, we thank you, Alan Durden and Eugene Hardley, the a.k.a. the Riddler.
You said hardly.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Someone used that in the line in the high school on me.
Yeah.
I didn't get 200 yards. They said Eugene Hardley. That was my name.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, and we'll be back on the Meridian Wealth Management pre and post game pregame show on Wildcats Radio 1290.
And that's a look at the Wildcats defensive scouting report for today's game.
The throw, here comes the rush again. Hey, sacked by Jacob Anu.
This is Arizona football on Wildcats Radio 1290. This hour of the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show is brought to you in part by Blue Whale Car Wash, Caruso's Italian Restaurant, Cool Willie's Air and Plumbing, The Diamond Store, Goldberg and Osborne, Goodfellas AC, Humane Society of Southern Arizona, Lexus of Tucson, Nova Home Loans, Recon Auto Detail, Ride Now Power Sports Tucson, and the Tucson Police Department.
Experiencing the natural wonders comes easy at Rock and K. Nestled at the base of the Rincon Mountain foothills. Enjoy stunning mountain views up close every day. Hit the community trails, explore local parks like Saguaro National and Colossal Cave, and mingle at private Diamond Community Park events. In the top-rated Vail School District, Rock and K is close to work, shopping, and services. Tour 11 different model homes by top-tier builders, offering move-in-ready homes and special incentives. Live rockandk.com. Designed by Nature, proud U of A radio broadcast sponsor.
As a homeowner, you've probably seen some pretty bad plumbing problems.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
We've seen them all.
All of them?
Ram's Plumbing kept entire buildings flowing. Businesses since 1983.
Wow, so whatever happens to my house...
We've seen it before, and we have the solution. Locally owned and operated, Ram Plumbing is Tucson's most trusted plumber. Our team of licensed professionals can fix anything your home can dish out. When your plumbing's in trouble, call Ram on the double. Online at bestplumbertucson.com.
I've not heard about
Here's
that.
an important message from University Termite and Pest Control. The weather is getting cooler here, and so rodents will be seeking alternative housing. Do you need a professional? Call University Termite and Pest Control, 886-4146. They've been serving Tucson since 1974. You can be assured University Termite and Pest Control will keep you pest-free using the most responsible product.
Doing things the right way.
All right, if you need tickets to today's game, we've got tickets. So come on down here to the mall, and we were going to be giving away tickets at about 5 o'clock to today's game, Arizona and Oregon State. So if you need 4 tickets, if you don't have tickets and you're listening to the show, come down east side of the U of A Mall. We are going to be giving away those tickets. All right, here's what we've got coming up. I mean, it has been an alumni party here so far. We've had Glenn Parker on the show, Alan Durden, and Eugene Hardy just joined us, all from the 1980s. Glad to have those guys back with us. Still to come, we'll check your scoreboard coming up. Chester Burnett is going to be joining us very shortly here as well in the captain's corner. Hubie Oliver is scheduled to come by. You have a running back and a Hall of Famer from 1980. Man, five dudes in one show today. I can't wait till homecoming next week. Can't wait till homecoming.
We're going to have every era. This game, we had 70. Then we're going to get somebody for the 60s.
Oh, man. We're hoping to also hear from DJ Williams of the current Wildcat squad a little bit later. He talked this week about the running game. Apparently, he's driving around campus in a very big truck that's got 40-inch wheels or something of that nature. So I've not seen – I can't attest to that because I have not seen that truck. DJ Williams has a big truck or something like that. So we'll have to see. In fact, there's Big Chester's in the house already. He's early and ready to go.
Chester, I got to tell you, DK, so just so you know, that's Chester the heart tester.
Chester the heart tester. So we had the heart tester here. We had the Riddler a little bit earlier here. Man, what was your nickname?
GH. Body Beautiful.
The Body Beautiful. Oh, my goodness. Body Beautiful. Yeah, no, and still trying to keep Body Beautiful. We'll have to ask Lucy if she comes down if it's still a beautiful body. Speaking of defense, I mean, it's weird. It seems like this is a defensive show. I mean, we always have all these big time. I mean, it's been a linebackers club throughout here this entire season. But one of the guys who is really killing it on the defensive side of the ball for Arizona right now is Dalton Johnson.
First and goal. Penix will hand off right side. Bernard fumbles the football, and Arizona's got it. Well, that's the way to turn them back.
That is the play that Arizona needed. We talked about it earlier. They need a momentum changer. Great job of Arizona just popping that ball out. And I think that was Ephesians Prysock. It was on the hit. Knocked the ball loose, and Arizona gets the turnover.
All right, a couple of weeks ago, here's what Jed Fish had to say about safety Dalton Johnson, who is in his first year as a starter. He called him the most consistent player so far for the Wildcats on defense.
Dalton Johnson has done a great job. I think you could probably point to Manu, you could point to Dalton, maybe Prysock. But, if you look at really who's the guy that's been the most consistent, I mean, I think Dalton has 4 forced fumbles already this year in 6 games. He's been exceptional in anything we've asked him to do. He's an elite tackler, and he's really every single day, every single game, he's put himself in position. And I guess I'd be neglectful not to mention Stooks and the way Stooks is playing as well this year on defense.
And we had a chance to talk to Dalton Johnson this week, the defensive back out of Texas, and I asked him about his feelings about what he heard there from his head coach, Jed Fish, calling him the most impactful and consistent player so far on the defensive side of the ball.
It feels good, especially coming from the head coach. He's been around a lot of football, especially, in and out of the NFL, obviously. But, it's always a good feeling if your head coach is talking to you about that or talking to you like that. But at the same time, it's not just me out there. It's the guys around me that make me play better.
Dalton Johnson, and this is an important thing, guys, I want to touch on real quick before we get to the scoreboard. When we talk about that 22 squad, that 22 recruiting class that they brought in here, and Dalton wasn't in that class. He was in the 21 class. But one of the things that they talked about was bringing in guys from programs that win. On the hover from Servite. That was a winning program. You talk about Speedy from St. John Bosco. Well, Dalton Johnson fits right into that. He's from Katy, Texas, and they were a 6A Division II state champion in 2020. When you have players that are used to winning, it creates a winning culture.
Absolutely. I think that is winning creates winning. And if you're around guys, they know how to win, and they know how to win when you're down.
Right.
When you're down, when your things are not going well, they know how to turn it around. They know how to do it because they've done it before.
Yeah, and just playing in, big time place like Texas and Cali. I mean, you're playing real. I mean, to win a state championship in Texas, you got to win 17 games. So you go through basically a whole NFL football season. So you're talking about real grinders.
Really?
Yeah, 16 to 17 games to win a state championship. So you're talking about real grinder, guy that's a tough guy. So I'm not surprised Dalton is having this type of season.
All right, let's take a look at what's happening around the rest of the Pac-12 conference today.
Here is today's Pac-12 scoreboard, brought to you by Mesquite Valley Growers. Mesquite Valley Growers. Real growers, real experience, real nursery. On Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, one game final, 2 games in progress. College game day was in Salt Lake City today, and it did not go well for the home team. The Oregon Ducks, number 8 in the country, go into Salt Lake City and put a whooping on the Utah Utes. 35-6. Bo Nix threw for 2 touchdown passes in that ball game. Surprised by that one.
I'm surprised. That's a message. That was a message right there.
A message indeed for the Oregon Ducks. And we've got another surprising game happening right now at Strawberry Canyon. The California Golden Bears, with about 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, are leading number 24 USC 43-36. 43 points. The vaunted Trojan defense has given up 43 points.
The cow.
But that running back nice though.
Yeah.
Jaden Ott.
Ott.
Man, I don't think we don't have to play them this year.
No,
thank goodness. We don't have to play Oregon this year.
He went for a C note against
us last year. 21 carries,
like 6'2",
153 yards, 3 touchdowns today for Jaden Ott. He is putting on a show,
beating them up
for the California Golden Bears. It's not looking good for USC and their defensive coordinator. Early on, first quarter, number 5 Washington on the road at Stanford, and the Huskies are off to a quick 7-0 lead in that ball game. 3 games under the lights tonight. Well, 2 games under the lights and 2 late afternoon, 1 under the lights. The one under the lights here on the West Coast is our game, as well as earlier starts coming up, actually just getting underway out at the Pasadena at the Rose Bowl. Number 23 UCLA hosting Colorado. That'll be an interesting game to see if Dion and company can go in there and possibly do some things. Hey, we got some Beaver fans.
That's Mahalchek's buddy.
Got some.
That's
there we go.
Mahalchek's buddy right there.
We got some
All right,
Beaver
I'll let
fans
you slide
hanging
this
out.
time.
And also football up in Tempe today. Washington State will play Arizona State. That's a 5 o'clock game up in the Phoenix area. That is your scoreboard at the moment.
That's today's Pac-12 scoreboard, brought to you by Mesquite Valley Growers. Mesquite Valley Growers. Real growers, real experience, real nursery.
All right, when we come back, we're going to go into the Captain's Corner. Welcome in Chester Burnett, not just an Arizona football alum, but an Arizona football dad as well. It's the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. We're giving away tickets in about 20 minutes. If you need tickets to the game tonight, get on down here, but bring your thinking cap, because we just don't give these tickets away. You're going to have to answer a trivia question about Arizona football. I'm David Kelly along with Glenn Howe and Kelvin Ifan, and we will be coming right back here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Bear down, Wildcats fans. This is the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show on Wildcats Radio 1290. Brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived. This is the whole
Chester, you're going to sit on behind me, so you can come around here. You're going to sit on this side.
This is the home of the Arizona Wildcats. Wildcats Radio 1290. Gather up, Wildcats fans. It's time to hear from our captain. It's time for our pregame speech. The Captain's Corner is brought to you by Ram Plumbing. When your plumbing is in trouble, call Ram on the double. And now, here is the captain, Kelvin Ifan.
Welcome into this week's edition of the Captain's Corner, presented by Ram Plumbing. I'm Kelvin Ifan. Our guest today is Chester Burnett, a linebacker from the class of 1997 here at the U of A. Chester, what's been going on with you, man? How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm good, K-Rock. It's good to be over here with y'all, man, and watch this dub we about to come get today.
Man, Chester was an all Pac-10 linebacker, during a time where we had great defenders. Got drafted by the Cleveland Browns, played a few years in the NFL. And tell us a little bit now about what you're doing right now, man, in your business life.
Well, I'm a mortgage banker, so I'm trying to, change lives in like 45 states. So we're just putting people in homes, and we got a company that's growing crazy with these rates right now, but we're trying to put as many people in homes as possible, and bring a lot of our young people along as well. So we got some stuff we're doing with NIL, and the young people buying houses right now too. So we'll talk about that another time.
Oh man, that's amazing right there, man. Now, so Chester has a unique experience of playing through two eras, that I believe, because he was here with the original Desert Swarm guys, but he also played with us. The guys that ended up being the 12-1 team, so he was a part of the 90s. The 90s to me, the decade of Arizona football. I mean, for sure, Glenn, you guys for sure. Last I'm gonna knock that out. But it's something about them 90s. It's something about them 90s though, man. But tell me, Chess, what was the similarities between those two teams? I mean, I think the team you guys, Fiesta Bowl, we had the 12-1 team. Very highly successful team. What was some of the similarities between those teams?
I think those teams, man, the thing about it is that we just loved each other, on both sides of that. On the teams that had, the Sean Harris's, Teddy Brandon, those teams, the way we competed in practice and got after it, we just had a different mentality to it, and the defense was the focal point. Then as we passed the torch on to you guys, and I remember my senior year when I left, I said, this team is going to do something next year, and y'all did. I mean, y'all didn't, y'all left nothing on the table, but it was still, you guys were playing as a team. There were guys who were hungry to play. Marcus Bell, but was behind me, and he came out on fire. And ended up going to the Seattle Seahawks, and you out there doing your thing in Trung, and you guys, it just all really came together. And that's what it was about, was a team playing as a unit, and that's, I think, what's starting to be built now.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, how excited are you to see the defense start to play well? Because as I said earlier with Alan Durden on here and Eugene Hardy, I said that Arizona, to me, even though I ended up being an offensive guy, was a defensive school. It had the linebackers, it had the undersized D linemen, it had the DBs, the linebackers and DBs going pro. So how do you feel watching these guys kind of bring that back a little bit, some of that attitude?
Dwayne Akina.
That's
what I'm gonna say. When Akina came back,
ain't that the truth?
Man, that's it right there. Because when he came back, it's like, and his energy has not changed at all from when we was out there. I mean, that's what made it fun, was that energy. And when that comes from that guy who's just, I mean, he don't even know where he gets it from. His tank is never empty. I mean, he just throws it on the players. But then you put it with Nance's system, and you got a couple guys plugging in here. I mean, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch Manu, who I remember last time talking to you. I was telling you about him.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, I've seen him for a long time, and he's that guy that went under the radar, but he's a player. Mm-hmm. He's a ball player, and he doesn't get intimidated. I mean, these guys just don't flinch, like people like to say. But I'm excited about the defense, man. I mean, for what they're doing, minimizing those rushing yards. I mean, you look at what Jay Knott did today. He's over there killing it. Yeah. That happened to us last year, not this year. I mean, it's a whole different team, so it's good to see.
And who was some of the other coaches besides Coach Akina that was on those teams that, impressed you, that, was some of the guys you looked up to?
Well, obviously Ellerson. I mean, he's the architect of the whole defense that we had there. I mean, those two guys were the ones I dealt the most with. Right. I mean, I dealt the most with them, pretty much more than anybody, because I love going and working with the DBs because of Coach Akina. Mm-hmm. He made it fun, so I go out there and do coverage, because I was a cover guy too. Right. Running around the field. So just great times, man. Good dudes out there.
So again, we just brought up Manu, but Kenyon, you're the father of Kenyon Burnett, the tight end. Tell us a little bit about how you feel about his development. I think we can ask you that. I think that's fair with some of the things that are going around about not having development in the program. You as a father, a former player, a former NFL player, I think you better than anybody about the Wildcat program right now.
Well, I love it, man. I mean, I love it. I mean, you look at what you got to look at as a parent first is that when your kid is getting recruited and so forth, I mean, coaches will say a lot of different things to you because they want to get your kid on campus. And obviously, Ken came in with great size and potential, but that's what it was, is potential. He was a project because he was a wide receiver, and for him going to the tight end spot, my thing was strength and conditioning coach and position coach. Those are the most important things, especially strength and conditioning.
Right.
And when we got with T.O., I knew that T.O. was a guy who was going to be able to put the right weight on him, make sure his speed didn't suffer, and he'd be able to do his thing and become the best version of who Ken is, whatever that turns out to be.
Right.
And I see that. I mean, I can see the development in him. It's obviously we all want things to happen faster than they do, but things are in God's time. I mean, I know his time is going to come, but he's learning from a great guy in Tanner.
Right.
He's got a great room. I mean, Powell keeps those guys, the unity with those guys, and Berto's, doing some good things. So I root for all those guys. Those guys are one single unit, and I think, what they're doing is, by being able to learn behind a guy like Tanner who does everything well is a phenomenal upside for him. When he gets on the field and he gets his opportunity, he'll be ready.
Man, I love to hear that. Now, you know a little bit about the rest of the Servite kids, where I'm talking about Manu, T-Mac, and Noah Fafita. And you talked on last year. I'm going to get you on every year I'm here. I guarantee you, because your knowledge, man, is out the chain, and your connection to the program right now with those different kids that you know way back from Pop Warner years.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about the Polynesian family atmosphere, because Noah's dad came on Twitter and said there's no controversy with them. Basically, JDL is Noah's big brother, and I told the people on here, I said that's what I know of the Polynesian guys. Everyone that I play with, respectful of big brothers, authority, just good people downright. Tell us a little bit about those guys and what you saw over those years.
What I saw, man, was starting with Les. Les he was the leader of the whole thing, with the Buckeyes, and we came into the program. I mean, they draw you in and bring you in, and it's no longer it's about the team and it's about the guys. Everything's about family, and that's the best part about their culture, man, is that it's all love and family. You eat together. Guys are hanging out. There's tailgates. They're always. It's always and you roll in packs.
Right.
You roll. You don't ever just see Les by himself. You see Les, and then there's his brothers and cousins and aunties and uncles, and then they start calling you the same thing, brothers and
right.
Les
right.
and Winona's brothers and their brothers and sisters calling me that.
Yes, sir.
And it's just all love. And to this day, and then the family just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It never slows down. And it's genuine, and that's the most important part. That's why there's no controversy with a JDL and a Noah, because Noah is going out there to do what Noah does, and he's expected to play and do a job, and that's how he's been developed over since he was a kid. JDL is expected to do the same thing. So with them, Noah's never going to lose respect for JDL.
Right.
He's never going to get too big to where he's like, I'm looking down on you, like I'm better than you. He's never going to. Noah will never say that, and that's what makes him great.
Yes, sir.
He's a humble kid who's going to go out there and he's trying to learn, and that's why I think you see a lot of success, because he's working within the system he's supposed to.
Yes, sir. Arizona linebacker Chester Burnett is our guest in the Captain's Corner, brought to you by Rams Plumbing. When your plumbing is in trouble, call Ram on the double. Man, tell me also, what do you see from that? Because Servite, those kids came in there and turned it into a championship. I haven't really heard a lot about Servite since those guys have been gone. Just keeping it real.
Yeah.
So that means that those guys set that culture. They made that culture. They made Servite, basically. What are you seeing from these guys now playing, the Servite kids, that's rubbing off on this team? Because it seems like it's a culture change going, and it's coincide with Manu getting on the field. Noah is getting out there now, making some things happen right there for Fafita. So, tell me a little bit about what you believe. Do you believe some of them championship habits is rubbing off on this whole group?
Oh, absolutely. These guys have an expectation. They expect to win. When they're literally stunned or shocked when they don't win. We went out there, and I remember a few years back, when they were their senior year, we went out there and beat Bosco. Bosco and Mater Dei were the two teams everybody talked about, and they put together a great plan. Noah ends up pulling his calf in the game and still runs a 60-yarder and we beat those guys.
Right.
These guys just expect to win. It doesn't matter about the score. They go out there and they play, and they make plays, and if a play doesn't go the right way, they're able to shake it off really well. And I think that's what you're seeing is just that expectation. And, Coach Fish talked about it. He wants guys from winning programs.
Right.
And that's what these guys are. And that's just from Pop Warner, that's what they've known.
Yeah, so, guys that like football and talk about football all the time, off the field, no matter what they're doing, they're discussing football. That's the type of people you're talking about. Right. I say, now I want to get back a little bit to this actual defense. What are you actually seeing from this defense that's making them more successful? What type of things, what's the differences that you think you're actually seeing tangibly on the field?
what I'm seeing, man, is that the guys are playing the next snap, which I think is huge because you look at the first series at Washington State. I mean, they went up the field because they came out with a plan, and that's where it's hard. You're trying to make your adjustments and so forth to it. But the guys settled down, came over. We know we got a plan. We're going to adjust a couple of things, and that's when Anson's good. They fix a couple of things, and next thing you know, that's the only points that they get. And so that's the difference right there is guys got that mentality. I mean, I think the depth on the D-line is huge. Being able to get guys in and out. Because those guys over there, when they get tired. I mean, you're getting tired and you're trying to pass rush and do things, but when you got an upshot that you can keep fresh, I mean, that's a problem. Yeah. And you got to, and we got Deuce over here. I mean, it's a problem for these guys when those guys are coming in fresh legs. Because with offensive linemen, they got to deal with that. So those things right there, man, I think is a key. The next snap. And then you got linebackers that Flo. I mean, I think Flo is bringing a good energy to it. Yeah, he's bringing that with him. And
I remember we talked a little bit about him last year. Remember, you said we see the attitude, we see the action. I was talking to DK a little bit about the super characters that some of the guys make. They Superman and stuff like that. I don't really go for that type stuff.
Exactly.
So it's great to see him actually take the coaching. He ended up not starting from the beginning. They went with the other guy, the other transfer, but take the They went with him, took the coaching, and I was actually worried about a guy like that because you come in with a big name, high ranking, you don't start. Sometimes you could be a guy to pull guys away and pull them back like, man, look how they doing, man. I'm transferring again. It was great to see him kind of take the coaching, calm down a little bit, and to start to make plays on the field and gain that respect from his play. Tell me a little bit about what you've seen from him.
I see the same thing, man, and that's the nice thing is that's what the difference in talent, what Jez started to bring in. He's brought in guys now that raise that talent level. So you get a guy like him that comes on board, and everybody's expecting him to come in and walk in here and start and lead the defense. But that doesn't happen because there's a guy behind him that's also that's fighting for a job too.
Right.
And the coach is going to play the same thing. But if you can't, and there's some coverage things that we blew a couple coverages and things, but once you start to address that, then your true talent comes out. But you got to you got to accept the coaching first.
Yeah. And I say that's important because when people look at the Noah and the JDL, who should start and who shouldn't start, I think if you look at this whole team, you're starting to have that. You're starting to have guys that can beat guys out. You make a mistake, another guy can go. The running back position, the offensive line position, the D-line position, the linebackers, as we was talking about, and we know there's a plethora of DBs back there that they taking in and out. To me, that's when you're having a successful program, when you have that type of competition where you make a mess up or you get in, you don't even want to get injured because you're worried about guys, coming in and performing.
Absolutely. I mean, what's going to end up happening is we're going to be like the SC of old when they would have guys who don't even start but end up going and playing 10, 12 years in the league because that's the kind of development that it looks like this program is starting to do. And, I mean, you never know what you're getting into. I mean, I love Jed. I mean, I did from day one. I felt like he was genuine, and he's everything has been true to this point, on that. And Powell, these guys, so and all the coaching staff, and I got to know them all really well, but what they're doing and the change of the system, I mean, it's just happening a lot faster than people thought.
Right.
Because some of the guys they brought in are performing better than what people thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Arizona linebacker Chester Burnett is our guest in the Captain's Corner, brought to you by Ram Plumbing. When your plumbing is in trouble, call Ram on the double. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about going to the Big 12 and this new traveling that you're probably going to have to do now? It's a little bit different from, USC, UCLA. You're going to catch 2 to 3 games in Cali if you play San Diego State or, the San Jose State schools or whatever. But how are you feeling about that move to the Big 12? I mean, me, myself, I'll just tell you, I'm excited. I'm a Texas guy. Now, I'll say this. When I was growing up in Texas, there was no way I was playing in the Big 8 or what they call the Big 12 now because I didn't want to be in all the country towns. Yeah. I thought coming to the West Coast was cool because of the L.A. games, the Oakland games, Seattle. Every city except for Corvallis basically is a major city. So that was important to me coming to the West Coast. But, how do you feel about that change going into that conference? Because it is a bigger, better conference now from when I was in school.
I like it. I think it's a good thing. I think being able to get the time adjusted is good because it gives our guys a chance because, what I believe, I think that honestly in the next couple of years we're going to have somebody that's going to be competing for that H. I mean, and I don't know if that's ever happened at Arizona for the Heisman.
Right.
I think we got opportunities now to have guys that can get to that level. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there because I believe that. And I know how hard these guys work. So I don't know who it is, but you can make some speculations on who that might be. But I think there's going to be some talk. But I love it. I love it that we're going to be able to travel there as family from a family standpoint. But from an alum standpoint, I think it's great because we get to go get a lot of different kids. They get to play in front of their families at home from Texas. Guys, Baylor, all these different schools. I love Baylor. Yeah, Houston.
Too, yeah.
Houston. So it's good to get out there, change up the geographic. I'm gonna miss the Pac-12, Pac-10 as I knew it. I'm gonna miss that, but it's okay. I'm okay. Let's go. Let's go. Change is good.
Yeah,
it's never bad.
And you got Florida kids too.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And one of the games that I think is going to be a big game is the Texas Tech game. I heard it was a rivalry back in the day. I think they have similar type of football programs. I feel like we may have had a little more success, right? But I think that's going to be a natural game right there in Lubbock, Tucson. I just think that's going to be one of those games. And TCU too, right?
TCU.
Man, I forget about TCU right there.
I think we're going to fit right in. We're not going to go to the bottom.
No.
We're going to get right in the mid. We're going to get mid Big 12. We're going to get right in there, top 6. We're going to be in there.
I think we're going to compete, man, because if you think about it, we're bringing our offensive style there.
Yeah.
But defensively, we're starting to show now that we can adjust to what people try and do. That was a big show what we just did in Washington State, man.
Yeah. And even the USC, the way they played against those other schools, because that's what made me believe. I'm like, when you're playing that level of competition, and a lot of times you're playing the name.
That's right.
Even when they don't have the top guys, you're playing the name. And so to go in there and to be able to perform against those teams had me very optimistic, with this team. And so to see them perform the way they did against Washington State, that was huge. I'm not going to lie. I thought Washington State underperformed. U of A did have a lot to do with that, but I'm excited to see how they play against a team like Oregon State and see what they can bring against a team like that that's player-led, as that player said, bully type of team. So, what do you think about that type of game at this point in time?
It's going to be great to see because what's going to have to happen is the D-line is going to have to win the game for us. That's my opinion. I think it's going to be the D-line.
Yes, sir.
And now we get to see really how's our rotations going to work, how are we going to be able to mix in our blitzes.
We need the linebackers too, though.
We need the linebackers, absolutely.
Yeah, but the D-line is going to have to push them back to clog it up. You're right.
Exactly. Because we can't let DJ sit back there. It's all to do in high school. He's ridiculous. He'll sit back there and tear you apart if he gets hot. But also we can get him off balance.
Right.
And we mix a couple things in, and our guys are bringing the fire. So I'm like, it's going to be a great challenge. I still think we're going to be victorious, though.
Oh man!
Yeah. And I think if we play our best, they play their best. I still think we win.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great game for our D linemen because Oregon State's probably got about 3 or 4 guys that are going to be NFL guys.
Yep, absolutely.
They got 3 or 4. I think it's 4 guys that they are really highly rated. Those guys, their offensive tackle, the right tackle, left tackle. And so if they want to put some film on, this is the one that you got to put some film.
Absolutely. That's another benefit to going to the next conference, too.
Yes, sir.
What we going to see.
Yes, sir. Well, our thanks to Wildcats linebacker Chester Burnett for joining us this week in the Captain's Corner.
Right on, man. Good to see y'all.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, brother.
And that's your Captain's Corner with Kelvin Efon. Brought to you by Ram Plumbing. When your plumbing is in trouble, call Ram on the double. This hour of the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show is brought to you in part by Blue Whale.
Exams like MRI, CT, mammograms, and biopsies, serving Sierra Vista and the surrounding communities for over 30 years. With locations in Sierra Vista, Green Valley, and Tucson. Call